Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm Priscilla, the owner of A Life Full of Simplicity. And today, welcome back to another Cozy Tarot Sunday. This will be the reading for February 22nd to the 28th. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on that bell so you can be notified every time I post a brand new video. And don't forget to like this video as it's very appreciated. And obviously it helps me out. So, as always, I'll be using the Tarot for Self-Care by Minerva Siegel for the self-care portion of this reading. And if you haven't watched the other two or other three videos I've posted from the other Sundays, I don't know, go do that. Go watch those because those are actually good readings. And I did change things up from the readings I did in January. So I'll be doing what to expect for this week, what to focus on this week, a challenge that you might face, what you should leave behind, and obviously a self-care activity for the week because self-care is very important. And as always, everything I use in terms of book and deck will be linked down below in the description bar. Nothing obviously is affiliated with me or sponsored. They're just there to make things easier for you. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the cards and see what we get. Nine of Wands. Oops. I'll take this card and then these two. Okay, actually I'll bring this down a bit. And then one more card for self-care. Ooh, the Ten of Swords for self-care. That's actually pretty funny. I find that a little ironic. So in the first position, we have the Nine of Wands, and the question is what to expect this week. So the Nine of Wands is all about a test of boundaries and feelings of being overwhelmed. So I think this week there might be some conflict in terms of someone trying to get into your space, disregarding your boundaries, and this will cause you to be overwhelmed. But not to fret. You know, that happens. People will test your boundaries, and obviously things make people overwhelmed. And when someone's getting into your space, believe me, I'd be overwhelmed too, because who wants other people in your space when you're not wanting to be around people? So I think what you need to expect is these feelings will come up. You need to acknowledge them. You need to acknowledge that someone is in your space, someone has broken your boundaries, and you need to communicate that. You need to communicate that your boundaries are being crossed and that you need to reestablish those boundaries. So that's what you're going to need to expect from this week. Obviously, it's not a great start, but things happen and we can't have perfect weeks all the time. You know, it is what it is, right? So that's what to expect. So in what to focus on this week, we have the Six of Wands. Now the Six of Wands is all about victory in the sense of when this card was made. To me, it's about recognizing and recognition in the sense that sometimes you need to recognize how you're feeling inside and you need to express that. So the focus on this week, I think, is about focusing on your emotions and focusing on what's going inside internally to make sure that you have self-confidence to communicate those emotions, as well as making progress in your life. Because when you recognize your emotions and when you communicate those things, It's progress in terms of how people see you, right? So if we link it to this, the 9 of Wands, you know, you're making progress in regards to setting boundaries because you're communicating how you're feeling, and that creates progress in a relationship. It creates better communication, which are all great things. So you want to focus on that this week. Now for the challenge that you might face this week, we have the Emperor. So the Emperor is all about, authority usually, because it's the Emperor. And it could be, you know, establishment, structure. Now, a challenge you might face in terms of that is a lack of structure. So if we're thinking about boundaries and, you know, communicating emotions and how you want to set your boundaries, a challenge might be that you have a lack of structure in setting those boundaries, and that there's no compromise between you and the other person of setting boundaries. So that might be a challenge in regards to setting those boundaries again, or establishing those boundaries. So just keep that in mind when you're communicating your feelings. So what you want to leave behind this week is in terms of the King of Cups. Now, the King of Cups is all about balanced emotion. But when someone oversteps your boundaries and they, what's the word I'm looking for? They overwhelm you, or you have feelings of being overwhelmed, and then you communicate that, and you want to make progress in terms of that, but then you hit a bump in the road because you're trying to find a compromise and having a problem compromising. Now, what you want to leave behind is explosive emotionality. King of Cups is all about being balanced in your emotions and not letting your emotions get to you. Now, I know that's very hard, but if you can't talk about how you're feeling, and you can't talk about being overwhelmed and how someone going against your boundaries is overwhelming to you, take a breath, take a break, and then revisit to discuss. You have to be emotionally balanced in terms of like your head on straight, and that you can think clearly, because if you don't, then you can have a lot of issues in terms of communication, and that's where I see the challenge coming in. So you won't find a compromise if you're not clear-headed and if you're not emotionally balanced. So definitely leave behind, you know, explosive emotions, and just take time to clear your head and to keep your emotions in check before compromising, stating you're overwhelmed and whatnot, because you want to speak and communicate clearly. And then lastly, we have the 10 of Swords, and obviously the 10 of Swords is all about you know, painful endings, being hurt, and whatnot, which is kind of ironic for self-care, in the sense that it's actually perfect for self-care, is why I find it funny that it's in the self-care position, because when you're in pain, self-care is the most important thing that you can ever think about. Okay, so as always, mind, body, spirit. So for mind, we have rearrange your home decor with feng shui to promote a calm and clear mind. Body, reduce tension in your body during this uncertain time by using massage balls. Spirit, if you're having nightmares or trouble sleeping, place selenite, amethyst, or rose quartz by your bed to promote calming and protective energy. So that makes sense for self-care. Obviously, if you don't have crystals, I highly recommend lavender. Maybe a lavender candle, or maybe drinking some sleep tea. That could also help with the spirit part if you don't have crystals, because not everyone has crystals in their house. So that was the reading for February 22nd to the 28th. I do hope that you enjoy this reading. Please take whatever resonates with you and go forth and conquer that for the week. Let me know in the comments below what you thought and how this resonated with you. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, links in the description box if you like this deck, or if you like the book that I use for the Tarot of Self-Care. Again, links are not sponsored or affiliated with me. I just like to make things easier for people. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on that bell so you can be notified every time I post a brand new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it's very appreciated and it helps me also in the long run. So thanks so much for watching, and I do hope that you have a great day.